Now, earlier you heard PM Wong share plans about Singapore reclaiming more land and merging existing islands to support new industries. He also talked about how the government will raise income ceilings for subsidised public housing. NP Nadirah Ahmad Samdin shares her thoughts on these announcements, and she was speaking to Sabrina Ng.
I think we also have to look at the changes on income ceiling alongside the backdrop of everything that we're really trying to do for families here in Singapore to make it feel and be more possible, and not just at the start of parenthood, but really seeing parenthood as a whole arc across the journey. Especially in a mature estate like Ang Mo Kio, I have had several residents who have appealed, and I think it's reasonable, certainly, for the income ceiling to be adjusted and the framework to keep pace and not exclude Singaporeans due to ordinary wage progression. And also, of course, the additional ballot chance is always very prized. Especially encouraging is also that for those who are currently expecting, it also applies to them. But ultimately, a ballot is still a ballot and someone needs to win the ballot. And so I think the overall principle of progressive support still is intact, where we ensure that those who require further assistance are also not excluded. And I think the real test will be not just how many more people qualify, but ultimately how many first-timers, how many families are able to secure that home. And I think PM also teased that there will be more for singles as well, which I think will certainly be very welcome given the demographic transition that we're in today.
And of course, also on land use, we see that more effort is being made to create more land as well. But how do you think we can keep a balance between, having this land for housing and for economic purposes, and also protecting our green spaces and our coastal spaces?
Sabrina, this is a topic very close to my heart, so I could go on. But I think for me, really, we understand, right, that in land-scarce Singapore, reclamation has always been part of the toolkit. We need to be creative and also judicious and considered for everything from housing, as we spoke about, to transport, to schools, to recreation, etc. And PM spoke about how Jurong Island was the result of bold ideas and bold action. And I guess, if anything, listening to the kind of overview today, what I would say is that I hope that in reclaiming land around the Western Islands in particular, we are also bold in a way that we know so much more now about the meaning of these spaces. It's not just empty pockets, it's not just green knobs that are rising from the ocean, but really what is unseen is not unimportant. And beneath the surface is a whole wealth of seagrass meadows, of coral reefs, of intertidal zones. You still sight dugongs in the area around Western Islands and also Tekong. And so what I would say is, in particular, I hope that we let nature influence our design and not let nature be impacted by the relevant engineering. So I certainly hope to have more consultations with people who care about our green and blue spaces. And I do feel we can be very intentional, as nature is infrastructure too. And this is functional resilience for our coastlines that I hope we can build in nature-based solutions so that, ultimately, when we talk about future generations, this is also something that they can inherit and appreciate.
MP Charlene Chen called for clearer and more accessible environmental impact assessments and increased public consultation to involve residents in decision-making. She was reacting to PM Wong's announcements on land developments, such as the merging of some islands, including Pulau Bukom and Pulau Semakau. Singapore will also reclaim land around Sentosa and Pulau Brani.
We also need to know the transparency of the process. So how long would public consultation take before policy decisions actually take place? And I'm glad that the government is open to listening to feedback. But right now, what we need to do is also to raise awareness of these avenues and allow more public participation in these avenues. So I hope that we can raise more awareness on the timelines. We can also encourage more young people to come out and speak up, because young people are the future leaders of our generation, and I hope that they have the opportunity to let their voice be heard as well.
Prime Minister Lawrence Wong earlier announced a slew of measures to better support parents across all life stages of a child. This includes more childcare leave and greater financial support. MP for Jalan Besar, Sean Low, gave us his thoughts. He was speaking to our reporter, Nadirah Zaidi.
Overall, the marriage and parenthood package was quite impactful. I must say I was pleasantly surprised myself. Singapore will not have more babies if we take just baby steps towards policy making. We need bold moves, and today we saw some of those bold moves. The two more meaningful ones that I saw were the financial support package for all parents, as well as what we're going to do for infant care and childcare to make it a lot cheaper. For the second one, I've been talking a lot about that in Parliament. Actually, I thought we should make childcare, basic infant care, basic student care, practically free, period. Because that's important to give all parents a peace of mind. The message on that front from the government is that the cost of raising children should no longer be a barrier to thinking about raising children for all Singaporeans. Now, you asked me, Nadirah, about childcare leave specifically. I think that's not too straightforward. As a parent of 4 kids myself, I would be happy with that initiative, and I think many parents are. But the first reaction by some parents would be, I got more childcare leave, but can I really take it? And at the same time, from employers, yes, the government is paying for it, but I fear that some employers may think twice about hiring parents with many children, because now employers need to factor that leave into their calculations, because employees would still be absent for a longer period of time. So the childcare leave announcement is actually not as straightforward as it sounds, and that's something that I've been thinking about.
Right, so there's definitely more work to be done when it comes to getting employers and businesses on board with this whole changes to childcare leave, like what you said, Sean. Also, I know you mentioned a few times there that you have 4 kids.
I do.
So do you have any message to large families or families just thinking of expanding?
Well, the government has done its part, Nadirah. I think there's more to do, more to be done. I mentioned bold moves earlier, not just baby steps to have more babies, and these are some of the bold moves. The committee is still going to do its work. There's a lot of stuff that has not yet been said. For example, for single unwed parents. For example, for fertility treatments to make it more affordable and accessible. And so these are other areas that has not been mentioned tonight. But yet the government cannot do this alone. The government can reduce the barriers to having children, but I believe that parents must want to have children. They must have that profound sense of joy and profound sense of meaning when they raise children in Singapore. And I think that's something that the government can try to support, but it cannot just come from the government alone. It comes from all of us parents, bringing our stories out there, saying how much we enjoy raising children. The day-to-day is painful, but the days are long, the years are most certainly short. And on hindsight, it's really such a meaningful journey for all parents.
The Singapore National Employers Federation says the government's support to cover statutory child-related leave will help employers, especially those in SMEs. But it says that the greater challenge is figuring out how to use the savings to hire temporary staff during such absence.
It's not so simple in some of the jobs. In some jobs, if the training or the skill requirement is a bit more generic, I think they will be able to tap on temporary manpower staffing agencies to bring in temporary manpower. But if it's a PME job that's a bit more task-based, I think it will be a challenge. But employers, that's why through job redesign and other transformation effort, maybe there's something worth looking into.
Nominated Member of Parliament Mark Lee says the cost of taking childcare leave is more than just financial. It also includes productivity losses and dealing with handovers. He believes in sectors where manpower is tight, tapping temporary locums, roving professionals or seniors with experience will help SMEs.
Maybe in certain sectors where manpower is tight, like a temporary locums or roving professionals, making use of our seniors who has experience in doing this, to allow SMEs to really make use of temporary workforce measures. At the end of the day, it's not just about the cost of the person taking leave, but it's also the overall cost in terms of handovers, in terms of the entire scheduling, as well as the fact that productivity itself might dip during these areas of handovers as well.
Sengkang GRC MP James Lim welcomed the changes to childcare leave. saying the Workers' Party had previously pushed for leave entitlements to factor in the number of children parents had. PM Wong announced more childcare leave for working parents, with those who have more children getting more days. Associate Professor Lim says that there's more room for additional support going forward.
And the big thing, I think, for further encouraging additional childcare has to come with providing additional relief for working mothers. And most Singaporean households are dual income families, and this is exactly where we think we can push a little bit further.